Hello and what's up guys? In this video, a major controversy has just erupted after a heated interview on Voice of the People TV, where a bombshell allegation from Sheikh Gumi has thrown the whole country into confusion. He claimed that Christian groups in the Middle Belt are burying empty coffins just to paint a picture of genocide. Empty coffins guys, that's the claim, and immediately the entire studio went silent. Reporters and analysts who have covered these tragedies for years said the statement is not only reckless but deeply painful, especially when families are still mourning loved ones who never even knew danger was coming. They described real mass graves, real bodies, children, men, women, not empty boxes. From Plateau to Benue to southern Kaduna, the violence has continued, and many believe these attackers are organized, intentional, and backed by powerful sponsors. Some guests even pointed out that bandits are openly celebrating on mountaintops, wearing uniforms and acting like nobody can stop them. Others argue that both Christians and Muslims have suffered, but the claim of empty coffins have now raised serious concerns. Why make such an allegation without evidence? What exactly is the motive, and why now, when the killings in the region keep rising day after day? Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
Let me start with you here in the studio, Mr. Falimo. Can you make sense of what Gumi said? That look, Christian groups in the Middle Belt are burying empty coffins just to create a narrative of a genocide. You know, that there is mass killing of Christians. The coffins that we see that are buried, do you by any chance, you have been a reporter, you know, you have inside information, you get information anyhow, you know, because you have been in this trade for a very long time. Have you ever heard, you know, has it ever escaped from someone got into your ears that, look, this thing that Sheikh Gumi said could be real? Has it? Do you have an idea? Help us, please.
I think it's marks of height of irresponsibility for Gumi to even imagine that, not to talk of spewing it. And it's very, very uncharitable and a way of denigrating the soul and spirit of those who had been mowed down in that area. Maybe he has his own idea or perhaps his own thinking that is different from reality. Because as soon as this thing came up, I went back in time to check the videos. In most of these mass burials, there was no coffin. Nobody used coffins. Lifeless bodies, corpses, dressed with different colors of attires, some exposing the leg, some exposing the head. Young children between the ages of 2, 3, you know, laid bare on the floor. And you are now coming to say, I mean, this is the height of it. I, for one, you know my position on this genocide thing, that I didn't put my finger to the fact that there is genocide, but this is the height of it. That man needs to be examined properly if his mental state is stable for him to have said this. And I am not mincing words over this, because I'm really, really pained that those people that died, even when they never saw death coming, we should respect their souls. They didn't plan to die. They didn't know that they would be in harm's way. Some people decided without provocation to slaughter a mass of people. What is mass grave? Mass grave is for two reasons. One, if you cannot identify those killed, maybe they were mangled to the point that you cannot recognize them. Then when the deaths are multiple, that you cannot be digging. Now imagine 213 people slaughtered in one day. How many graves are you going to dig? This is the reason why there was mass grave. The third one is maybe robbery suspects that have been kept in mortuary for so long, accident victims that cannot be recognized, that nobody came to take their bodies. Those are the reasons why you have mass graves. And now, somebody somewhere woke up from the wrong side of his bed just because he claims to be a cleric. Is that the way to protect your religion?
Okay. All right. Is that the way to protect your religion? Then you have painted a very gory picture, and a lot of. I'm not sure I can take this, you know, because I try to.
I understand your emotions.
Yes, my emotions and all of that. Now, in all of this issue of of genocide. Have you noticed recently, that despite this...
There's upsurge.
There's an upsurge, in the killing of people within that zone, Middle Belt,
Plateau,
and all of that. What could be the reason? Does it look like, or it does appear that the Trump threat is not trying to deter?
No, you see, it just shows you that these killers are intentional in their approach to these killings. And they are not ready to stop. I was watching a video the other time and somebody said, if we are to stop this attitude of killing people endlessly, that it has to come from certain quarters. And since it has not come, that means we have a free reign. The other day we were here when we saw a video of bandits rejoicing and celebrating live on top of a mountain. Some were even putting on a uniform. All these things. It also points to the fact that there are hidden collaborators, sponsors, financiers that are within the corridors of power.
More like an agenda.
It's like an agenda. Yes, I'm beginning to see it.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fanimo, for your submission. Let's take this conversation to Abuja, where we have Mr. Ali Usman, who is a public affairs analyst. Good morning once again, Mr. Ali Usman, and thank you for being part of us today. Let's get your opinion on the statement made by Sheikh Gumi when he said that, people are becoming intentional, rather, in his words, say that this is more like a way to further create a very bad narrative about Nigeria so that the likes of bringing out manipulative information just to provoke hatred and international sympathy at this point. What do you have to say about the fact that he went further to point out that the alleged Christian genocide, in his words, actually is an attempt to malign Islam and also the enforcement of Sharia law in Nigeria? When on this table, he also pointed out the fact that not just Christians are killed, Muslims too are killed. And these are being killed by extremists. I'm talking about jihadists, whom Donald Trump has pointed out to say he's going to come to Nigeria to kill the extremist jihadists operating on the soil of Nigeria and killing people. Help us actually with your opinion on this, please.
All right. First of all, I think the statement from the Sheikh is vague. Vague in the sense that there is no timeline to the allegation that is being made, so we don't know if he's referring to a recent incident or perhaps something that he thinks has happened in the past. So to that extent, when the allegation is not clear, it will not, I don't think that there will be a proper response to it. So just so that if there is an error in whatever he has said, we don't go on that line to continue to whip maybe something that is not correct. If you go through one of the reports written by one of the dailies, it appears that Sheikh Gumi was quoting what somebody told him. But we don't have the place, the name of the person who told him, or which of the groups in Middle Belt that is being alleged to be carrying that out. So to that extent, I think the information provided is not, is vague. So I may not be able to properly contextualize the situation other than to speculate, and I wouldn't want to do that. But with respect to the other comments you made about him talking about stopping of Sharia or other things. See, there are certain things that we need to understand, especially about Sharia. Sharia is something that is being applied every day in the life of a Muslim. So even without a codified law, for instance, a Muslim will still apply the Sharia when he does the things that Islam has asked him to do. When he wakes up in the morning and prays, and which most Muslims do 5 times a day, when he goes to the market and trade and he complies with the Islamic injunction on trading, when he relates to his neighbor and he's good and kind to his neighbor, he's still carrying and he's still part of the stipulation.
Yes, those actually are the words of the Sharia law and what is expected, from people who
Yeah.
practice Islam as a religion
Yeah.
to uphold. So are we going to see such now being sent to all Nigeria, knowing that Nigeria is a secular state? Because in his word, it says that this particular statement of Christian genocide is a way. Isn't that an indictment on its own by making it look like the talk about killing of Christian now is a way to malign Islam and also the enforcement of Sharia law in a secular country as Nigeria?
Well, you see, the Sheikh has his opinion, and his opinion is well documented on issues of this matter and other national issues, you know. But yeah, Nigeria is a secular state. But then again, even when you are talking about codified Sharia applies to Muslims. It doesn't apply to non-Muslims.
So why do we have issues in flushing out or in killing extremists or in taking out, eradicating extremists, jihadist extremists in the words of, Donald Trump? Are we going to, at this point, are we seeing another, maybe another jihad movement, led by another group at this point on the soil of Nigeria, just like what we saw that played out with Umar Danfodio when he invaded Nigeria on the notion of Sharia law and all that?
All right. First of all, let me start from the place you just dropped it. To start with, that Usman Danfodio did not invade Nigeria, as at the time the Danfodio jihad happened, there was no entity known as Nigeria as we have it today. And secondly, again, it was not, we need to understand that part of history very well. It is one of the most misrepresented part of our history. Usman Danfodio was not a warrior. He didn't even start any wars. It was a self-defense. He was the one who was attacked and he defended himself. He was just a preacher. So by the time he defended himself, and then the subsequent things that happened took place, and the entire gamut of what happened now turned out to be what metamorphosed into the caliphate. Okay. And to that extent, you can say that I think that started in 1804. In 1804, the British had not even.
Aliyu, I understand the history you are trying to reel out. Yeah, that's good. At least you have made a point. But I'd like for us to, because time is perishable, we need to move on to other things.
Okay.
But before we go to Port Harcourt, where we have Bishop Bob Marley on standby, I would like to ask you. You said something about speculating on what the Sheikh said. That look, someone told him there was a report, and someone told him that Christian groups in Middle Belt, were faking mass graves and all of that just to portray Christian genocide. According to you, he was quoted. And within that context, you don't know what to say. Do you, without the Sheikh saying that, have you ever heard, that at any point that there was a fake mass burial in that part of the country? And is there a possibility that a group of people who have been killed in their numbers, do you by chance know that groups in that region who have been killed in their numbers, could go to the extent of trying to fake mass killings just to portray something that is real and existential? What's your thought on that?
Well, first of all, I don't know of any such things. Secondly, I also don't think that people would go to the extent of faking their own death, whatever point they are trying to make. I don't believe that they will do that, because I don't have any evidence of that having happened anywhere else. So unless it happens, or I see it, or it's reported, there is an investigation and it is confirmed, whatever anybody says to that extent may just still, like I've said, be in the realms of speculation. But we also need to understand what is happening, because this whole scenario has been created, a we versus them situation has been created, where certain policies are interpreted as being against them, and certain groups are being seen as being favored. So where you have such situation, you'll find a situation where people are trying to underplay the narrative of certain people and trying to bring up theirs. What I do know is the allegation that tends to be made that when things like this happen and there are casualties in the Middle Belt area, that it gets more media coverage, that it gets more attention than when such things happen elsewhere around the northern region as well, especially when the victims are Muslims or when these things happen in Muslim-dominated areas. I have heard such allegations being made. I've heard people talk about the fact that they don't get as much coverage
as
when,
that.
yeah, exactly.
When it happens on the reverse side of it. Before we leave you now, Mr. Osman, is there genocide in Nigeria, whether Christian or Muslim? Is there genocide in Nigeria?
Well, I wouldn't say there is a genocide. I would say there are mass killings. Because when you call it a genocide, you have to prove that first, that there is an entrenched interest, whether ethnic, religious, or any economic, that is trying to get another person out of the way to take over certain, whether territory, or to gain certain economic advantage or social advantage. Now, when you look at the entire conflict that is happening, you can bring in ethnic coloration to it, you can bring in religious coloration to it, you can also bring in economic coloration to it. But this same thing affects everybody all across. When you look at the two most affected states in the north that are Christian majority, whether that's Benue or that's Plateau, whatever is going on in those places, you can say the same about Sokoto, you can say the same about Zamfara, you can say the same about Kebbi, you can say the same about Niger, and more recently it has extended to Kwara. More recent, I think about 2 weeks ago, the deputy speaker of the Kebbi State House of Assembly.
Oh, we lost connection. We lost connection to you, Mr. Usman. You know, we'll take the conversation now to Port Harcourt, where we have Archbishop Dr. Ibiokun Gospel Bob Manuel join us. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning once again, Archbishop Dr. Ibiokun Gospel Bob Manuel. Now, what do you make of the statement of Sheikh Ahmed Gumi? He made the statement somewhere in Turkey, you know, saying that people of the Middle Belt are burying empty coffin. In the words of Usman this morning, Ali, he said that whatever thing that is happening in maybe in Plateau or in southern Kaduna or maybe even in Benue State, also it's repeating itself somewhere in Sokoto and also in other parts of the northern Nigeria at this point. Are we saying also that those people that were killed there, also the coffins or the burials we see in the Bogana are empty coffins at this point? And what do you make of this? Just opposing it to the fact that he went further to talk about the allegation of Christian genocide being a deliberate attempt to halt the enforcement of Sharia law in Nigeria that happens to be a secular nation.
Well, thank you. I think my stand is, number one, I condemn, everybody has freedom of speech, but in the state of our nation, the insecurity, I condemn it outrightly, and I count it as very insensitive coming from a cleric of note who should be an advocate of peace and not taking sides, whether you be a Christian cleric or an Islamic cleric or whatsoever. Well, it's just like the last speaker said, when you don't have clear-cut evidence about where, when, and how these allegations have happened, there are no records that you are making reference to. Even the people that, like a year say, and you come, we that are on that.
All right, I guess we lost connection also with Dr. Ibiokun Bob Manuel. We will actually ask our team to work on it. Okay, go on, Archbishop, if you're back, go on.
Okay. It's possible that Gumi is trying to defend his faith against the backdrop of the American, I would say threat, American position about Christian genocide in Nigeria, which has been serialized in their own intelligence. So even if you are defending that, you can say things that are more acceptable than saying a group of people have been burying empty caskets and trying to get sympathy with that. We know what happened in Yewa recently. The president visited and couldn't get to the place where it happened. We know the elders and farmers clash almost regularly around the Middle Belt. We know the recent Plateau happenings where even military personnel came out and testified Though, yeah, there could be pockets of people from the two religions being affected. In every situation, there will be collateral damages. And the collateral damages could affect even an innocent stray bullets and innocent people.
So at this
But
point in
who
time,
are,
Archbishop, are we supposed as a nation to have issues or even further divide ourselves when we have a particular people, I'm talking about US now, having it at the back of their mind or having interest in coming out to help us end the people that have been pushing us further into unbearable pain of avoidable death for the past 15 years or thereabout? Should we have issues, when Donald Trump said we're going to come in to take out the extremist jihadists operating on the soil of Nigeria?
well, I don't have an issue. Maybe because he has defined it so, they didn't come from the air to make that statement. There were congressional presentations. There were even groups from Nigeria who went to the US Congress to serialize with evidence what their communities have been going through. So the president did not just come out because he hates Muslim or Nigeria. It has been a global fight, and he says it's not limited to Nigeria.
Okay.
It's like a human rights, a civil fight,
Advocacy.
but it differs from nation to nation.
All right,
For
Mr.
instance,
Bob Manuel. Okay, land on your thought.
Yeah.
Land on your thought. Go ahead. Land on your thought.
Yes, what I'm saying is, you can see recently the president did not even say America will not attend the G20 summit in South Africa because of their human rights records nosediving. He said America will not, the attendance there will be that they are given tacit approval to what is happening in South Africa.
Okay.
And so it's not like it's just Nigeria.
Okay.
They are worried about the global insecurity and occasioned by governments that are insensitive, who have complete armed forces and they cannot deploy to stop it. Abacha said one thing. He said, if insecurity lasts for 24 hours, then the government is complicit.
Okay.
Because they are the people who have the legal right, the resources to be able to quell any insecurity. And if they cannot for 48 hours, then that government becomes suspicious and their military apparatus.
Okay. All right.
So to that extent, you don't blame him.
All right, Archbishop, there's been hot air in Nigeria in the past days, a few days that Trump designated Nigeria, redesignated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, CPC. It's also interesting to know, like you said, Nigeria is not alone, it's not a lone thing. We have countries like China, we have countries like Pakistan, we have countries like Iran, even Myanmar, that appear on that CPC list, and Nigeria has been redesignated at one. But there is this kind of pushback, by Nigerian government and people in Nigeria, Nigerians as well, notable Nigerians, who have heard Wole Soyinka say, no, there is no Christian genocide. We have even heard Christian clerics say, look, there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. You are not bishop. Do you think that there is genocide in Nigeria? And what is the role of the church, in trying to say, look, we want to defend our faith, not just defending our faith as Christians, but defending Nigerians as a whole. Nigerians should not be killed, whether they are Christians, Muslims, traditionalists, or what. What is your opinion on all of this?
Well, my opinion, the word genocide is a matter of semantics. Like we said, are there killings? Are there incessant killings over these years with a legitimate government in place? Yes. And when something is uncontrollable, it's not genocidal, it's serial. I just read from the papers, even from your publication, that in Kaduna, an Ekwa priest was taken on, 11 people abducted. That is even as we are talking now. So when something is realized and people have record of it and it's not being ameliorated, it's not stopped deliberately, intentionally, what does it amount to? What genocide is an English language? It's neither even the people from all faith, even the free thinkers that are being killed. We're talking of killings. But now, what the Americans have is that most of this group, the ISWAP group, the Boko Haram group, the bandits, majority of them are made up of people from the Islamic faith. We're not talking of armed robbers. We're not talking of all these people. We're talking of people who their ideology is based on a faith. Okay. And that is the basis why it is looking like it's a Christian and a Muslim thing. Okay. Even some of their sponsors, people have come out to say these are their sponsors, and most of them are on the other faith.
Okay, Archbishop, established, according to your opinion, there are killings in Nigeria, and it looks like genocidal, Now, as a member of the body of Christ, what is the responsibility of the church, to ensure that they protect Nigerians when they are killed? You are an archbishop. What role has the church played in interfacing with government, in interfacing with authorities?
That what Christianity preaches peace.
Okay.
In fact, it will say Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Even at the point of killing, we are not asked to maybe take arms or to retaliate. It talks of forgiveness. So basically, and that is why people think that Christians are weak. But they are not weak. They are practicing their faith in such a way that everybody can be on his own side freely. But without being armed, you go into a church, you burn the church down, you kill people. Even when you have security in churches, except these days that some men of God carry armed policemen around. If not, we don't even carry people like that. You have those boys who are not armed around the church doing ushering work and all that. But now you find that those kind of unarmed people, armed men will go in and slaughter them. It's painful. Right. So what the church has always done, let me tell you what has been done. What has been done nationally, there is interfaith, and part of it, there is interfaith organization where the Sultan is head and the Khan president is head. It's composed of senior clerics from the two faiths. They come in and they look at these issues when they happen and encourage their adherents to desist. And the federal government recognize them. They are like NGOs.
Okay.
So that whenever, yes. So what we are doing is just that the radicals in the faith, and maybe like somebody said, it could be political, it could be economic, it could be religious. Some people who are extremists, let us call them so. It's not every Christian or Muslim. I have a lot of Muslim friends. Even I have a lot of Muslim clerics as friends. We have eaten in the same plate. Without having a I go to their meetings and we hold meetings. Even here in River State. So what we're saying, the bad eggs who radicalize themselves and make economic gains out of it, from kidnapping, from killing, from all that. That is what the government is supposed to fight. They are criminals.
Forget those about, are the people that made up the extremist jihadists that Trump talked about. Yes, you just talked about the extremists. And also I asked you earlier, is there anything wrong? Is there anything wrong in taking out the extremists who have actually been killing people in their numbers in Nigeria? And you said no to that question. I would have to bring it.
Nothing. Let me tell you this. The Bible said the soul that sinneth. The Bible said the soul that sinneth shall die if you don't repent. It's only genuine repentance. Even the Boko Haram who have repented, are they still pursuing them? They won't conscript them into the Nigerian armed forces again.
Thank you so much.
If they are not repentant,
thank you, Archbishop.
If they are not repentant, and it's like judgment coming over them because of their excesses, Nigeria should thank that kind of government for coming to do what they cannot do. They are not taking over our sovereignty. They are coming to make sure that peace we cannot enforce here with our armed forces. It is done for us. You remember before Donald Trump left the first time, an American was abducted in the north and they were kept. They came with their people intelligently without losing one soul. They pick up those people. They freed them from the hands of these extremists. None of their people was killed. They have enough superior power, they have enough intelligence, and they are not going to politicize the issue. So it's either those doing this thing, they renege from it and become normal citizens. Some will say they are foreigners. How do you allow foreigners come into your territory and begin to kill your people?
That is actually a question on many Nigerians.
It is called for.
That's a question on the mouth of many Nigerians, Archbishop. Thank you so much for submission. We have another guest in the studio. We'd like to get the opinion of Mr. Benjamin Ogulami. Good morning once again, and good to have you join today's conversation. What do you make of this particular statement by Sheikh Gumi and the fact that some people are already saying that their life actually is in danger? For example, we have a particular man who's come up to talk. He said, I've witnessed a numerous violent attack in northern Nigeria where Christians were specifically targeted and massacred. And that this particular, because of the statement, he said, my life at this point is in danger. Let's also just suppose that it's what actually is playing out. Where we learned also today that 4 people have been killed, with a pastor of Ekwa Church abducted and 11 others abducted in Lere local government area, which happens to be within the southern part of Kaduna State. And this whole thing more like is increasing because the other day, the Kaduna State government come up to tell Nigerians that they are celebrating, a better way to reach a compromise with the terrorists by giving them free medical health care and education too. Saying that they've been able to regain 500,000 hectares of land from the hands of the bandits and that trucks can now move freely like 3 or 4 times in a week, flying the routes that these terrorists have actually occupied in that state.
Well, my opinion would be that Nigeria before this time hasn't been a serious nation, or let me say it's a serious nation with unserious leadership. We've been entrenched so much in religious bigotry. And then to this end, I would say that some of us at a particular angle in Nigeria, we are operating with the constitution of Nigeria. And we observe that larger part of the north, or let me say the north, the core north, operate the Sharia law. That even their lawmakers don't even understand what Nigerian constitution is saying. They focus so much on the postulations of the Sharia law. And then talking about genocide of Christians. Christians aren't the only set of people experiencing genocide. And I would not say Christian in particular experience this. But in the world, we have seen a Christian nation turn to a Muslim nation. And there are leaders in the world sponsoring jihadists against other nations. And then we must say clearly that all these things are still just widespread rumor in Nigeria that Nigeria wants to be Islamized, and for that reason Christians must face their own genocide. It's not true. Even the poor against the rich, the poor is also facing another kind of genocide. I don't want to limit it to Christian genocide alone, but whatever interest anyone is making in the world today, saying Nigeria is expressing this kind of genocide, I would say it is limited, and it is just they are trying to divide the nation.
When you say they are trying to divide the nation, we have over 200 bodies charred in Benue State to start with. Recent time, not the one that happened when we had the president Muhammadu Buhari went also to tell them, please find a way to accommodate your brothers. And then you take it back again to somewhere in Plateau State where we also learned that a quite reasonable amount of people also were killed too. Also back again in Benue, another killing happened. Take it to southern Kaduna too. The same
is it just starting now?
No, the question I'm asking is when you say that we're having little of it playing out, the little of it now is it that until when it gets to billions, or when that's not what I mean. The 200 and above 200 million of us actually gone down, that's where we now know that we have an issue.
This case isn't just starting today. We didn't see anything. It happened during Buhari era where Kan chairman was beheaded. What happened? Nothing happened. But the only thing I say at this moment is Christian leaders have not been responsible, especially the Kan hasn't been responsible to the Christian fellowship in general in Nigeria.
What do you want them to do?
There should be a voice. There should be a voice at this time. How do you want the voice to be? And if you want to be a voice, you shouldn't be political. The Kan had been political over the years, taking side. We've seen Kan supporting when Goodluck Jonathan was there, they've supported. Now, when you have taken strange fire onto your own altar, you get burnt. Now, at this period, look at what happened during Buhari era. The Redeemed pastor came out in protest saying they do prayer work when the Kan chairman was beheaded. What is happening now? Who is speaking? Have they come out to do the same thing? No. But my own position is this, that we should not limit the genocide in Nigeria to Christians. I am a Christian, I'm a believer. But I do not want the tagging of Christian. Donald Trump had actually seen this as a way, a medium to penetrate into the country. Okay. Even if it's coming or intervention into the country is having its own undertone.
Yeah, you have said quite a few things that are not just instructive but also topical, and raised a few talking points. When you say it's just a way for them to divide Nigeria, who do you mean? Who wants to divide
Our
Nigeria?
leaders before this time, our political class before this time had divided us. We're only looking for a way.
Division in terms of not physical division.
No.
Okay.
They've divided us, and that's just their own win. When they've divided Nigeria, they've got entrance into a particular sect. But saying Christian genocide, yes, it's happening. I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
But giving it such magnitude that it's only Christians. We've seen Muslims object to this.
Okay, so there is
It's not that Muslims are killing Christians. They are extremists.
There is genocide and there is massacre.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, when you say that Donald Trump is finding a way to come into Nigeria, Can you expatiate on that?
It is because our leaders are irresponsible to our own citizens.
Coming to do what?
Who?
Trump. You said it's a way of him coming into Nigeria to come and do what?
To face terrorism, which is a world pandemic. Okay. Everybody understands. It's not limited to Nigeria. Okay. It's happening all over the world. So if our leaders could not tackle it, it's because they know about it. Okay. And they've given the chance to US to step into the case.
Is it welcomed by you?
Well, it seems partially, let me say. If it does not have any undertone by the US.
Exactly. I like the fact that you brought us to this point. We need to move into the next topic of conversation. But what do you mean by undertone?
Is there any nation in the world that the US had intervened and not take charge of part of their resources? Okay. What's happening in Libya now? Such thing happened in Libya, and we're saying that after the elimination of Gaddafi, Libya is suffering from it today.
Now, the question I want to ask you is this. This resources that we're talking about at this point, of what benefit is it to Nigerians? How are you using it? Because we need to understand. We have high deposits of many mineral resources in Nigeria. We have the sweetest of the crude at this point in time. Of what benefit is it to you and I, average Nigerians?
Most of us in Nigeria today, we are calling for this intervention because only few people benefit from these resources.
As the discussion unfolds, what becomes clear is the sheer weight of Sheikh Gumi'S allegation, a claim suggesting that Christian groups in the Middle Belt have been burying empty coffins to create the impression of genocide. It is an assertion that have generated shock, disbelief, and deep concern across the country. Analysts, journalists, and religious leaders featured in this interview have unanimously described the statement as baseless, insensitive, and damaging, especially in a period where communities continue to suffer real and devastating losses. From Mr. Dele Fanimo's perspective, the allegation does not only lack factual basis, but dismisses the pain of victims whose bodies were frequently laid out in open mass burials, often without coffins due to the scale of violence. He emphasizes that these events are well documented through videos, eyewitness accounts, and on-ground reporting, leaving no room for theories of staged burials or fabricated casualties. In Abuja, public affairs analyst Aliyu Usman further stresses the vagueness of Sheikh Gumi'S claim. With no timeline, no locations, no eyewitnesses, and no verifiable evidence, the allegation, according to him, exists purely in the realm of speculation. He notes that while narratives around killings often become politicized, the realities faced by communities in Plateau, southern Kaduna, Sokoto, Niger, Kebbi, and other regions remain consistent. People are being attacked, displaced, and in many cases killed regardless of religious affiliation. The conversation then shifts to the role of extremist violence in Nigeria and how these attacks intersect with global concerns. Religious leaders like Archbishop Manuel highlight that the killings, whether of Christians or Muslims, are overwhelmingly carried out by armed extremist groups whose motivations blend ideology, criminality, and opportunism. He maintains that while the term genocide is debated, the persistent and targeted nature of the violence cannot be ignored, especially when the international bodies, including the US government, have raised repeated alarms. Other contributors raise broader questions around governance, accountability, and Nigeria's long-standing struggles with insecurity. They point out that communities have endured more than a decade of unchecked violence, while debates over semantics continue to overshadow the lived realities of victims. And although some argue that the conflict should not be reduced to religious labels alone, there is a growing consensus that inflammatory statements, especially from high-profile clerics, risk deepening divisions and undermining efforts towards peace. Across all viewpoints, one central message emerges: Nigerians deserve accuracy, responsibility, and empathy from those who speak on national issues. At a time when tensions are already high, allegations without evidence do little to foster unity or promote understanding. Instead, they widen existing fault lines and risk distracting from the urgent task of addressing insecurity decisively and transparently. As always, we encourage you to reflect on the perspectives shared today and consider their broader implications for national stability, interfaith relations, and the future of communal trust in Nigeria. If you found this analysis insightful, please share your thoughts in the comment section below. We value your opinions and encourage respectful, informed dialogue on issues that shape our national life. Do remember to like this video, subscribe to Niger Star News, and turn on notifications so you never miss our in-depth reports and analysis. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.